Day began was a desperate search for relief. Relief from the fear, the anxiety, the overwhelm, the inability to cope with everyday things. Like I would be driving down the road and I'd say, "Where's my purse?" Because the anxiety always chugged along about here. Anxiety's up here and you're drowning. And nothing worked. I'm very careful about that, so I did a bunch of natural stuff. And I did 3 years of talk therapy. And while it gave me a great place to cry, she and I have since become friends, and lots of labels and information, it did not resolve anything. And I later have learned that the reason it doesn't resolve stuff is because you're working, when you talk, with your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, the planning part of your brain, the executive center. What's actually in charge is your subconscious. And when you make a decision with your prefrontal cortex, your subconscious laughs at you. In fact, you might eat the whole box just to mock what you've decided. So I flailed for 7 years, and that trauma, on top of the traumatic childhood that I had, I was a mess. So those 3 deaths combined to make it the year from hell. I went and took a life coaching course, and I did level 1. And then I went and I was a youth pastor for 6 years, which was a job I loved, but I was dying inside. Every single day I was faking it. I was dying. It was at one of them, a woman said, "I've discovered tapping and it really has helped with my anxiety." I'm like, "Oh, please tell me." She did. So I downloaded a free book from EFT International, and I began to learn how to tap. And tapping is just tapping on the meridian points. There's 9 in the upper part of the body while you state your problem. It's also stored in your energy field, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the only way to resolve it is with a somatic process like EFT. She was depressed, anxious, couldn't get out of bed. And when I said, "Do you want to try this?" And with my clumsy efforts, I didn't really know what I was doing. She was back to work in a few weeks and out of bed and functioning. I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out. So I went and got certified, level 1 and 2.
Welcome back to PCOS Unfiltered, Nourish, Heal, Thrive. I'm your host, Lindsie, and today's conversation is one that dives deep into the emotional and energetic side of healing, something that so many women overlook when they're focused solely on physical symptoms. My guest, Beth Chisholm, is the founder of Kamiyah Coaching, an energy psychology practitioner, and a trauma-informed coach who helps people move from survival mode into a life filled with calm, clarity, and confidence. Through a blend of EFT tapping, biofield tuning, and intuitive coaching, Beth guides her clients in releasing old emotional patterns and reconnecting with their body's natural wisdom. In this episode, Beth shares her own powerful healing journey, one shaped by unimaginable trauma, and how she transformed that pain into purpose. You'll learn how the body stores stress, how simple somatic practices like EFT can create real emotional freedom, and why healing the subconscious mind is often the missing piece in lasting transformation. As a reminder, the content shared on PCOS Unfiltered is for informational and educational purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by the host and guests are not intended to serve as medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or treatment plan. The information shared is based on personal experience and expert interviews and is not a substitute for professional medical guidance. So, settle in, take a deep breath, and get ready to experience what's possible when we stop surviving and start truly healing. Welcome. I'm so excited to have Beth here. I love this topic, and I think it's an important topic to cover. So let's kind of just dive on into it. And I want to start by, if you can give us a little bit of a background of your journey, what was the kind of defining moment in your healing journey?
Sure. For most of my life, I was a stay-at-home mom. It was my favorite job. Absolutely loved it. But as your kids grow up and you raise, hopefully, mature, independent, self-sufficient adults, check, they don't need you anymore. And my husband kept saying, "What are you going to do? Now what? What's next?" And I'd been volunteering at a breakfast club a job I also loved. We fed middle schoolers 3 days a week breakfast, and we got them involved. We had celebrity chefs come in. Anybody who donated to the program got to come in, and the kids got to interact with them and see what's possible in life. We had a president come in. We had executives from Mott's Juice and all sorts of stuff. It was an amazing place. I became friends with the principal and the vice principal. You know, it became a beautiful collaboration, and she brought out things in me I didn't realize were there, like skills and ideas. I would say to her, I've got an idea. And she would laugh and say, what is it, Mrs. Chisholm? And she let me run with a lot of them. Well, she had said, I loved it so much that when my son graduated, I stayed. I stayed running the breakfast club. She told me one morning she wasn't going to be there. She was my supervisor, and she said she wasn't going to be there, and I was being a smart aleck. I said, account for yourself. Where are you going to be? And she smiled sadly and said, I'm leaving my husband. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. Do you want help? And she's fiercely independent. And she said, no, I'm good, Mrs. Chisholm. I'm fine. And I said to her, if you wake up tomorrow and you change your mind, because most of her friends were teachers, so they were teaching on Wednesday morning. I said, I normally have a ladies' meeting, but they'll understand. I can cancel last minute. Just message me. I got up the next morning. Sure enough, she messaged me and said, I can't do this alone. I need help. So we moved her out on the Wednesday. And then on the Saturday, we went back to get more stuff. Her husband had arranged what time to be there specifically. And she was very punctual, very type A. And trigger warning, this is about to get wild fast. We walked into the garage and opened the door, and we were both bent over to catch the dog, of course, because we were there to get furniture and let the dog out. She only had time to say, oh, David! Bang. Now my friend is laying at my feet. He shot her. And I never saw the gun. And I'm in Canada. We have very strict gun laws. You can't go and buy a handgun. You can't go buy anything, really. Rifles, maybe, hunting rifles, but certainly not handguns. And I looked up, and before he shot her, I looked up and I saw him, and I knew his arms were outstretched because I could see a little bit of it, and the face of evil, and I didn't know what was coming. And as my friend is laying at my feet, a voice spoke and said, you should run, you need help. So I did. I turned and I ran out of the garage, and as I exited the garage, there was another shot. I didn't know if it was at me or her. Turns out it was at her. He put three bullets in her to make sure she was dead. Yes, he was very thorough. And the voice spoke again and said, you should scream. You need more help. So I began to scream. Movies don't do it justice. I ran up the side to the first house. Had their door been open, I'd have been in their living room. It wasn't. I went to the second house, and the voice spoke for a third time and said, you have a cell phone. You should call for help. I'm like, this is such a good idea. I'm having a conversation with this voice. And I did. It was an old BlackBerry. That's how long. It was 13 years ago. I got 911 on the phone, and help began coming, pouring in. But what that day began was a desperate search for relief. Relief from the fear, the anxiety, the overwhelm, the inability to cope with everyday things. Like I would be driving down the road and I'd say, where's my purse? Because the anxiety always chugged along about here. You woke up with that. Suddenly you can't find your purse. It's on the seat, but it's under the shopping bag. Well, now the anxiety's up here and you're drowning. And nothing worked. I don't do prescriptions very well. My body does not like chemicals. I'm very careful about that. So I did a bunch of natural stuff. And I did 3 years of talk therapy. And while it gave me a great place to cry, she and I have since become friends. And lots of labels and information, it did not resolve anything. And I later have learned that the reason it doesn't resolve stuff is because you're working, when you talk, with your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, the planning part of your brain, the executive center. It is not in charge. What's actually in charge is your subconscious. And when you make a decision with your prefrontal cortex, your subconscious laughs at you. When you say, and this will fit for you, when you say, I'm not going to eat those cookies tonight. I am just going to have one cookie. You've made the decision here, and your subconscious laughs at you and says, oh, yes, you are. It's what you always do. This is the pattern you run in your subconscious. They release feel-good endorphins. So yeah, you're going to eat the whole row. In fact, you might eat the whole box just to mock what you've decided. So I flailed for 7 years, and that trauma, on top of the traumatic childhood that I had, I was a mess. So the principal died in October. Our vice principal dropped dead 6 weeks later of sudden heart failure for absolutely no reason. There was never a reason on autopsy found. He was a healthy 42-year-old man. 6 months later, a student dropped dead, also of sudden heart failure. And it was found that she had a heart defect that could only be detected on autopsy. But those 3 deaths combined to make it the year from hell. It was awful. Everybody was flailing.
Yeah.
I went and took a life coaching course, and I did level 1, and then I went and I was a youth pastor for 6 years, which was a job I loved, but I was dying inside. Every single day I was faking it. I had to teach. I had to present. I had to get up in front of people. I was dying. It was awful, but you did what you had to do because I really liked the job. When I left that, I went and did the next 2 levels of life coaching. It was at one of them, a woman said, I've discovered tapping, and it really has helped with my anxiety. I'm like, oh, please tell me. She did. So I downloaded a free book from EFT International, and I began to learn how to tap. And tapping is just tapping on the meridian points. There's 9 in the upper part of the body while you state your problem. I'm anxious. Oh, I'm so anxious. And this anxiety is an 8 out of 10, and it's sitting in wherever it's sitting in your body, because this is a somatic process. So what happens when a traumatic event occurs? It's stored in your tissues in your body. It's also stored in your energy field, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the only way to resolve it is with a somatic process like EFT. So I went and I was working with somebody. I was life coaching her. And I'm like, we would make an agreement. She'd go away and come back the next time, and hadn't done any of it. The reason she hadn't, because it was her prefrontal cortex making the agreement, not her subconscious saying, oh, you're not going to, no, you're not. And she didn't. She was depressed, anxious, couldn't get out of bed. And when I said, do you want to try this? And with my clumsy efforts, I didn't really know what I was doing. She was back to work in a few weeks and out of bed and functioning. I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out. So I went and got certified, level 1 and 2. 2 years later, I got advanced certification. And then I discovered tuning forks. And tuning forks are amazing. They work in your field. They can work on your body. But because I'm strictly a virtual practitioner, I work in your field. And I often combine EFT with the tuning forks, and amazing things happen. It's so cool what your system tells me. I tuned a little person last night, and I got to about age 3, and I said, something happened at age 3? Yeah, we cut off all ties with his dad. And the tuning forks told me that. I didn't know any of that ahead of time. So it's really cool what your system will reveal to me. So I spend my time now seeing virtual clients and offering them the gift of hope and healing.
That's amazing. I mean, that's a powerful story, obviously, probably, to the extreme even, but just the idea of most of us have been through traumas, at some point in our lives. And that, I've had other guests. I talk about it even like in my 90-day program, and those things stay with us unless we kind of do some deeper, inner work. And, you're talking a little bit about the subconscious. Yes, it likes to keep you safe, right?
Right.
It likes to keep doing what it knows how to do. Yeah.
Is to keep you safe.
Mm-hmm.
And safety is familiarity.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something new, like not eating the cookies, it's going to scream at you and say, oh no, danger. That's new. That's unfamiliar. We are not going to do that.
Yeah.
So it takes a concerted will, to be able to say, I'm going to engage in the process of healing. I'm going to do this. And I've been very fortunate to work with some amazing practitioners who have held this space for me to be able to release my childhood, the shooting, there are many different layers of it. so that I can tell you the whole story. I'm not triggered, I'm not crying. It's not a traumatic event in my life anymore. I'm really sad it happened. I wish it had never happened. I wish my friend was still here. But it got me where I am. Had that not happened, I wouldn't know the power of energy work and what's possible for clients. I can say to them, I know what's possible because what happened to me. And it's also what I've seen happen for many of my clients.
Yeah. So I feel like you kind of touched a little bit on this, but how does the body hold stress and trauma? And what are some of those signs that people often miss?
Excuse me. A thought becomes a sensation. No, a thought becomes a feeling, and a feeling becomes a sensation. So like being in a scary movie, the bad guy's coming, he's coming around the corner with a knife, and you go, your stomach clenches. And then it releases in the movie scenario because there's a resolution and we can let it go. When something significant happens, and the stomach, the reason I mentioned it, is a really common place to store your issues. It's one of the reasons why antacids and prescriptions for GERD are one of the number one written prescriptions in North America, because we store that stuff there. And so your body is holding on to stuff. I had a pain in my shoulder and I could not figure it out. Chiro, physio, massage, nothing. So I was a demo in advanced training, and we were doing, because EFT works on physical issues as well. I said, I want to know what's going on. Nothing worked. And so the trainer held space for me and guided little Beth to go down into the shoulder and see what was there and what I had packed in there. And you just know when somebody asks you questions, you're like, what's in there? Oh, it looked like stalactites. I could see stalactites. I knew the color. And then suddenly I'm like, oh my gosh, all the sadness in there from the shooting. Because everybody was watching me in the school of 600 people. Everybody was watching, saying things like, if you're going to be okay, Mrs. Chisholm, we'll be okay. I'm like, I am not okay, but you can't tell them that because they're desperate for relief, for hope, for a way forward. Right? So I had stuffed all of the sadness into my shoulder. And when little Beth, on her mission, released it, my shoulder was better. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's so amazing.
Yeah.
What's possible.
Yeah. I've heard hips can be like another kind of prone popular area for
the right
for
hip
that
specifically.
too.
That's the one I remember because it's the one that's been bugging me lately. The right hip is about overdoing and being too busy and saying yes when you should say no.
Yeah.
So lots of things.
Yeah. So let's kind of dive deeper into exactly, what EFT is, and then also the biofield tuning, and how those are such powerful tools for emotional and energetic release.
EFT was originally invented by Dr. Roger Callahan, and he was a psychotherapist working with a woman named Mary. She's been on the Oprah show, and she had a fear of water, and it was getting really bad. And of course, the talk therapy wasn't working. But he was studying the meridian points, and all of the points that we use are based on the Chinese meridian system. And he knew that this was the beginning of the stomach points. And when she said to him in one of their sessions, oh, Dr. Callahan, my stomach hurts, he said, do this. It was gone. Instantly, the phobia was gone. She ran out of his office. He was at his house to his pool and stuck her feet in the pool. She was having trouble showering before this. So he's like, I'm onto something. So he developed something called thought field therapy, TFT. And it's very complicated. Water phobia, 10 times here, 4 times here, 8 times here. It's very complicated. You can still get certified in it today, but I would never remember. Enter a man named Gary Craig, who was an engineer, and said, we've got to be a simpler way. And he simplified it and developed the basic recipe that we have, which is 9 points that we use with a setup statement to be able, and he got fabulous results. Just without doing the complicated process, he got fabulous results. And he worked with it and gifted it to the world. He didn't patent it. He didn't control it. He's like, He created videos and said, here you go. Therapists had known for over 30 years. It works. But if in our materialistic scientific world, if there's no research, it's not valid. Enter Dr. Petal Stapleton out of Australia and Dawson Church out of the US, and they began to research and do studies. We now have literally hundreds of studies, peer-reviewed, scientifically done, that says, yep, this works. We can replicate our things, and we can prove it to you that it works. And it's just so simple. Do you want to try some, Lindsie? You want to try something?
Sure.
Okay. What we're going to do is, this is called the 9 gamut. It's one of my favorite things. So on the back of your hand is...
Doesn't matter which hand?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
This ditch here has your gamut point in it. And you can hold it, you can tap it, you can rub it, whatever feels comfortable. But we're going to put the hand that you're going to be tapping on your heart. And you're going to tap, rub, hold, whatever feels right to you. And before we begin, I want you to take a beautiful cleansing breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. We're going to do that 2 more times. Just breathing and inviting your heart to lead. And inviting insights and wisdom to come. Now while you're breathing and holding onto your gamut point, I invite you to do a body scan. This is a somatic technique. And we're going to check in and see where your body's at. I'd like you to scan from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, just gently going down. And when you find something, it's usually a when, not an if. I want you to rate it 0 to 10. 0, it's gone. 10, it's, oh, my stomach is clenched, my throat is tight, my shoulders are up to my ears. Whatever, I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that.
Okay.
Awesome. Found something?
Yeah, my back.
Got a number? First thing
4.
that comes to mind. Okay.
Yeah.
When we ask questions in energy work, we want the first thing that comes to mind, because that's your subconscious speaking. If you give me the second answer, that's your prefrontal cortex, and we already know about him. So, first thing I want you to do is to close your eyes. Open your eyes. I'd like you to look hard down to the right. Don't move your head. Just with your eyes, look to the right. Back to center. I'd like you to look to the left. Back to center. I'd like you to roll your eyes clockwise. Back to center. I'd like you to roll your eyes counterclockwise. Back to center. I'd like you to hum for me, not sing. Row, row, row your boat.
Keep going.
Keep going. Do the whole thing. Awesome. I'd like you to count backwards from 10 to 0 by twos.
10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0.
What's 2 times 2?
4.
3 times 1?
3.
5 times 1?
5.
I'd like you to hum again. And let me know when you're done, because sometimes the singing doesn't get picked up in the microphones. Beautiful.
Okay.
I'd like you to do the body scan again. Check in with your back and just tell me, what are you noticing?
It's better.
If you were to guess at a number?
2.
If you were my client, we would check out and see what's in there. What event might you have stored in there? And we would just start on tapping on, I got this pain in my back. The color is, I love color work. Color helps shift things. The number's 2. And it's okay, just where I'm at right now. So we do the setup statement to begin 3 times, and that helps with psychological reversal. That helps us dial into what's happening. And then I repeat back only your words. It's such a brilliant process. In talk therapy, you have to be clever. In coaching, you have to be clever. You have to know what to ask, where to go, what process. Oh no, this pain in my back feels like a 2. And it's purple. And it's hot. And I was just sitting there. I got this pain in my back. And you go through the points. We do it a couple times and then we reassess. What are you noticing? And then we would check in and say, is there an emotion in there? I'm curious. Is there an emotion in there, Lindsie, if you tune into your back? You don't have to say it out loud if you don't want to. But if you tune into your back, is there an emotion sitting in there?
Oh, I don't think so. Not really feeling, no.
That's okay. And then the next we would go looking and see if there's a memory in there. See if there's something stored in there that your back is trying to hold on to and keep safe. Yeah.
That's very cool.
The 9 gamut is one of my favorites. And you can be rubbing, for people who are watching, you can be holding onto your 9 gamut under your desk. If you've got a client and it's not going very well, for neuroregulation, you can be holding onto this down under your camera. Nobody needs to see it. You can even do this in the grocery store if you want. The other thing I teach my clients is finger tapping. So on the sides of your fingers are points. And I do it with one hand, like this. So here in Canada, it's cold right now, so we're wearing winter coats. Or if you're in your jeans, I stick my hands in my pocket and I do this. It also neuroregulates you. Because what we want to do is to just let your nervous system know that you're safe. That whatever you think is a perceived threat, like the guy in the grocery store who shouts something and scares you. And it may be triggering something from your past. Maybe your dad was a yeller, and now you've gone right back to little girl Lindsie, who's 3, who was yelled at by her dad. But you don't have time to deal with that in the meat department of the grocery store. What you want to do is just bring yourself back into neuroregulation so that you can deal with that at another point when you're with your practitioner.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about tapping is you can work on a lot of stuff on your own. The guy cut me off in traffic. He could have killed me. It really scared me. It feels like an 8. Oh my gosh, really scared me. A lot of those things you can process on your own. You got big T trauma, and what I mean by big T trauma is something that you were alone, you had no resources to deal with, and it left you running a pattern in your brain. I'm not safe. Like if you're in a car accident, you're in a blue car, and you now can't drive in a blue car because you've decided blue cars aren't safe. You're running the program, and you can't go past that intersection. We can reprogram all of that so you can get in a blue car and you can go back to that intersection. It's possible.
Yeah. Well, I also just feel calmer,
Right?
more relaxed. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It just brings everything down a notch and says, I'm good. And one of my favorite techniques, this is one that's super easy, is humming. So the vagus nerve is one of the 10 cranial nerves. I'm sure you're familiar with the vagus nerve as a nurse and a health coach, that winds down through your vocal cords and through all of your organs, and it's part of the fight or flight system. We want to activate the vagus nerve to calm ourselves down. This one works spectacularly well for me. When I don't have time to do the gamut point and all of that, I start humming. I put on my favorite song and I just start humming. And the humming, not singing. Singing doesn't do it. You need the vibration of the humming. Hits the vagus nerve because it goes down all through there, and it brings you into regulation. Simple, easy, and you can do it anywhere. Like, this looks like a little odd if you're doing this in the grocery store. Yeah, really? You're gonna no. But you can start humming whatever on the music, whatever's there. Just start humming something.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely. This is obviously like another, level, but I touch on this with my clients. Just again, the feeling of being safe. I usually incorporate just simple breath work, into that. But this is a great addition, especially for people that are maybe dealing with some deeper traumas.
Yep.
For sure. I love it.
Yeah, it is beautiful. And the other technique you can do, if you've got somebody who something big is happening and you're not sure what to do with it, pack it up into a container. And while they're either rubbing their gamut, squeezing their fingers, or even if you're in a session, tapping through the points, picture a container. Okay, I've got a great big seafarer's chest. It's brown. The more descriptive you get, the more effective it is. It's brown. It's got brass hinges. It's got brass in the corners. It's huge. You put the event in, seal it. What are you going to secure it with? Oh, I got great big chains. And then I've got a padlock, and I've got a key lock, and I've got this. So you're going to secure it, and then you're going to put it someplace safe. And all of this is of their choosing so that they are in control and feel empowered. We're not going to tell them anything because they likely, if they've got a big T trauma, have had stuff out of their control, events out of their control, people doing things they couldn't control. We're going to put it in the box, and we're going to put the box, they're going to put the box someplace safe. But you got to go back for the box. It works short term. If it's a little thing, it might work long term. But if it's a great, big T trauma, you got to go back for the box and resolve it.
Yeah. So how did your trauma specifically reshape your sense of identity and safety and purpose? I mean, I know you kind of talked a little bit, but can you go a little bit deeper there?
I never expected to be building a business. As a stay-at-home mom, my husband's getting ready to retire. I'm a grandma. I'm just going to continue with the retirement life and with the grandma life, and that's it. And then I discovered energy work, and suddenly I had a totally different purpose. I need to tell everybody about this. It's one of the reasons why I do podcasts, to get the word out. And if I'm not your person, and I'm not everybody's person, I have lots of practitioners I can refer you to. So you can find your person that you feel safe with, that you can resolve the things that have been defining your life that no longer have to. So now I have a purpose. I created Kamiyah Coaching 6 years ago, almost 7 years ago. And originally I thought, I can't build a business. What do I know about building a business? My husband is the business guy. That was a limiting belief that I had to work on. EFT is really good for limiting beliefs. I had to work on that limiting belief, and I thought, hey, actually I'm very good at this. I love marketing. I love getting the word out there. I love the written word and sending out emails. And I thought, I can do this, and actually have been pretty successful. I only do it part-time, 4 days a week, and I don't work Friday to Sunday. That's my weekend with my grandson. And I'm like, I can do this. Now I have a purpose. I have a passion. And I tell people in the grocery store, I'm that person. I got my tires changed today. We put winter tires on here. And her dad's undergoing cancer treatment. I'm like, if he learns how to tap, it'll be easier on his body. Once he reduces the cortisol levels, his body can fight the cancer easier. They've done studies on that. And I'm like, wow. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, look up EFT. Here's my card.
Yeah.
I tell everybody about it because there's a way forward. And up until now, my friend said to me, my EFT friend said, she has a psychologist friend who said to her, psychologists have a lot of tools for information, but not a lot for healing. I'm like, whoa, that's profound, because we don't have a lot for healing. Lots to talk about, lots of labels, but how do we release that? How do we stop that cycle of, this happened, and then you talk about it again and again and again? There's a way.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I was so excited to have you on too, because that's my goal with this podcast is to show the listeners just different ways. Like you said, this may not be everybody's thing, but it definitely could be, even just for one person.
Yep.
And yes, there is hope and healing, and that's going to look differently, for different people.
Yes.
But there are ways that you can, feel better and start relieving some of those symptoms and thriving, not just surviving.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if EFT isn't your thing, if you don't want to talk about your emotions and you don't want to share secrets, biofield tuning. It tunes. So in biofield tuning, we use medical grade tuning forks, and your traumas and events are stored in your field. Your field is 6 feet across approximately on each side of your body. And we know that it is because if I had the right machine, I could measure your heartbeat from 6 feet away. So I know that your body is, your energy field is about 6 feet, and the individual events are stored in there. So when the forks are going through, I can find things like I found with that little person yesterday. I can find all sorts of really interesting things. And so at the very edge of your field is your birth and conception story. We can rewrite that. If you had a traumatic birth, maybe you weren't wanted. Maybe you grew up knowing my mother never wanted me. We can transform that and work with baby you, embryo Lindsie. And on the far side of that is your ancestral field. On the right side is your father's ancestors, on the left side is your mother's. And we can work with your ancestors to resolve the things they've handed you. Maybe they handed you, nobody in our family goes to college. No, it's just not a thing. We can redo that. That doesn't have to stay. You do not have to carry that, because we're handed a lot of stuff through spoken word, through unspoken word, through actions, through epigenetics. Things are handed down through our genetics, and they don't have to be. We can literally, EFT, as far as they know so far, they found 54 genes that change expression after tapping. So they either turn on or they turn off. Yes. So there's an epigenetic part to this, physical, mental, emotional. These processes, biofield and EFT and other energy work. Donna Eden has some really good stuff as well for Eden Energy Medicine. They literally change every part of you.
So after hearing, your story, and as we kind of wrap up, what do you hope people understand about healing?
What I really hope they understand is it's not as hard as they think. It can be. Is it hard work? Absolutely. Is it worth it? Also, absolutely. I've got a woman I'm mentoring. She had daily panic attacks. She couldn't leave the house. She couldn't make phone calls. She couldn't interact with the world because of her past traumas. Now, she doesn't have those panic attacks, and she's getting certified as an EFT practitioner because she wants everyone to experience the healing and the beautiful future she now has that she didn't have before. So I want people to know that there's a way forward and to try it. And if it doesn't work, okay, walk away. You're no worse off, because there's no downside to doing these things. As far as we know, there's no downside to EFT unless you try to reprogram a big T trauma on your own. Tried that. Bad idea, because you can re-traumatize yourself, because it's not possible to hold the safe space. It's not possible to hold that safe space and to process it all on your own. You can't do it. But other than that, there's no downside at all. So give it a try. Try one more thing, because I'll bet a lot of your listeners have tried things. They've tried a lot of things. They've likely tried pharmaceuticals. They've tried all sorts of things. They've talked about it until they're blue in the face and nothing's helped. Try one more thing.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times too, especially for women with PCOS, it can be around weight loss, releasing that weight. There's a lot of fertility struggles for women with PCOS as well. And I get too, some people they might be scared to leave the traditional, healthcare system. That's not familiar, not safe for them to do so. Right.
Yeah. It doesn't feel safe, but if you get to the place where they no longer have answers for you, where they throw up their hands, how many of your people are medical mysteries? You just have to accept this. This is the way it is. It's always going to be this way. Horse plucky. I call horse plucky on that. It does not have to be this way.
No.
When I started working with the woman I'm mentoring, I'm like, I don't know what'll happen. I can't make you any promises. But I know, based on my experience and what I've seen, things are possible. Let's try something.
Yeah.
Have the courage to try one more strange thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Kind of, can be a bridge, bridge that gap. Like, you can still try, but I love what you just said there. Yeah.
And I offer a free session. So come try it out. Come meet me.
Yeah.
See if I'm your person. And if we
Yeah.
connect, if not, I'll help you find a person that you do.
Yeah.
But come.
Yeah. So I was actually going to my last question is I'll put links in the show notes too, but what is the best way or, ways that they can connect with you and find you?
My website, kamiyahcoaching.com. On there, you'll find the form to sign up for your free EFT session. I'm on all the social medias, Kamiyah Coaching. You can come follow me. I post a bunch of stuff. You can sign up for my newsletter. I generally send something out about once a month. Once a week, unless I've got a program running, then it's a little more often. In December, I've got Tap and Tune running. Tune into relief and joy for the holidays. And we're going to do both parts. I love combining the methodologies. So we'll do some tapping, we'll do some tuning, we'll just help you with nervous system regulation and releasing some of the things that you're carrying going into the holidays.
Yeah, perfect timing for all that, of course, for sure. Well, thank you. This was an amazing discussion. I hope all the listeners definitely got, at least one little nugget out of that. I'm sure they did, but I really, really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invite, Lindsie. It was a delight chatting with you, and I appreciate the forum for sharing my story and giving people hope.
What an incredible and powerful conversation with Beth. A reminder that healing doesn't have to stay stuck in the mind. Our bodies carry the stories we've lived through, and by reconnecting with them through tools like EFT and energy work, we can finally begin to release what no longer serves us. If Beth's story resonated with you, make sure to visit kamiyahcoaching.com to claim your free introductory EFT session and experience this gentle yet transformative practice for yourself. You can also follow her on social media. I'll link everything in the show notes for you for daily inspiration and upcoming workshops. And as always, thank you for listening to PCOS Unfiltered. If you love this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who needs to hear it. Until next time, remember, your body is wise, your healing is possible, and your story is not over.